Hello and welcome to the Bike Lane. I'm Matt Keenan and I'm back. Thanks to Scott McGrory-Kinder for hosting last week. I think he did a good job. I was a bit disappointed. Scott, Wade, welcome to another episode. Okay, it's fair to say they might be a little bit disappointed in my moustache. I have a confession to make.
Lack of moustache.
I was hosting the Cycling Australia Awards on Friday night and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was embarrassed and I shaved it off. So let's treat this is an Australian show, so let's treat this like an Australian bike race. It's a handicap. I'm giving you guys a head start and I will mow you down by the end of Movember.
You don't think we're embarrassed? Look at this.
That is
Every time I go out.
So this is from Friday and I think I'm on par with him already and I'm bridging the gap to you, McGrory.
I don't know about that. Listen, I've been embarrassed for the last couple of weeks now, pretty much. But when I got to the awards where you were clean shaven, I walked in and David McKenzie's wife, Susan Stewart, came up to me and she said, Dirk Diggler.
Dirk Diggler.
But I'll take that.
Very
There's
good.
a win for me.
I don't think
Very
so.
good. Well, we have a big show in store.
We do. I'm looking forward to Richie Porte. We've asked your questions to Richie Porte, and he's a funny man, little Richie.
He is. He's a Tasmanian too, not Australian. He'll tell you that time and time again. And Craig Mottram.
We've got Craig Mottram coming up to do the hot lap, one of Australia's best middle distance runners.
And his VO2 max is 91. It's huge, isn't it?
He is an athlete.
He is a brilliant athlete. We answer what's on your mind. And we also catch up with Rachel Neylan, who's gone from being a silver medalist at the World Championships to searching for a job. Well, the announcement has been made. It's official. Gerry Ryan is the new president of Cycling Australia. Good news or bad news?
I think it's good news. Now, there is the discussion now that there is a conflict of interest because he runs, obviously, the Orica Green Edge team, funds that, funds the AIS as well. He has been propping up cycling for 21 years or so.
Yeah.
But I know Gerry is a very successful businessman and he will clean the table.
He's on the BRW rich list. He's valued at $310 million or thereabouts, but you know, who's splitting hairs? I'd be happy to have the hair that's split though. But do you think he's the right guy for the job?
I have no doubt that Gerry's going to be acting in the best interest of Cycling Australia, but he also has to act in the best interest of Green Edge. Yeah. And I don't doubt he can separate that, but perception's reality. And the perception is that there is a conflict of interest, and that diminishes his ability to do the job properly.
The challenge that I see for Gerry is, number one, we need to find a scientist who relieves Gerry of the need to sleep. How can he fit so many things in? The guy runs Jayco, he's got the cycling team, he breeds horses, American Cup winner, he's got the walking with dinosaurs, the King Kong, etc., etc. But the bigger issue is governance. Because when the Australian Sports Commission reviewed cycling and swimming and some other sports, cycling in particular said need to fix some governance issues. All of Gerry's businesses are privately run. So there's none of that publicly listed company governance that he's had to go through. The key to the success of Gerry's businesses is Gerry and the way he runs them. For cycling, we need to get in a position where we're not so dependent on Gerry. Because Gerry, as you say, he has propped up the sport for so long. And I feel like the sport is almost going to dad asking for more money. And we can't afford to keep doing that. What Gerry Ryan will do is attract high quality people to the board. Overall, I think it is a good outcome. Let's see what happens. They've got some work in front of them. Now let's go and catch up with Richie Porte because he's answering your questions.
So Richie, have you ever wanted to tell Chris Froome to get his own bottle?
I mean, I have done in training.
Now, the rift between Wiggins and Froome, are they on talking terms or is it a media beat-up?
I don't think they're the best of friends, but I guess that's what you get. You know, the two best riders in the world over the last 2 years. I guess, you know, they're not always going to see eye to eye, but you know, I think they're both professional. I think if they have to ride in the same team next year in the Tour, there's not really going to be an issue.
Wiggins, great teammate or prima donna?
He's a great teammate. Anybody that knows Brad and you know, is around him off the bike, they know he's one of the funniest guys going around. And last year, I obviously rode for him all season. And I never had a problem with him. I'd have to say he's a great fella.
So therefore, it wouldn't matter who you rode for, Wiggo or Froome?
I mean, they're both different, but obviously for me, I'm you know, pretty good mates with both of them. But you know, Froome's got his ups and downs. I guess Brad's got his ups and downs. But you know, both great leaders. They both won the Tour when I was riding for them, so it's hard to choose between them.
Do you have an alias on Strava?
I don't. And I won't.
Your thoughts on training, power meters and science, or old school and sensations?
I think obviously our team uses SRM, and for training specific efforts, it does make sense to use an SRM. But then I think at this time of the year, it's also good to pull the SRM off the front of the bike and just go and ride, however you want to do. And I also think for recovery days, it doesn't hurt to turn the SRM off.
Why didn't you clean out the coffee machine before Cav used it?
Yeah, Cav had a problem with the Nespresso last year. If you left the used capsules in there, he used to get quite angry. But I mean, he still won stages after it, so leave him in there.
Will you be the lead rider for Team Sky at the Giro?
At this point in time, I can't see why not. I think that's been the talk so far, and that's my goal next year, is to lead the team at the Giro.
What sort of base training kilometres do you do back in Tassie? 1,000 kilometre plus weeks?
I have done in the past on 4 weeks of 1,000 kilometre back to back, but I was absolutely creeping for a little bit after. But end of the day, I don't mind a 300 kilometre day every now and then.
And when are you going to cut away from those stinking Poms and ride for Orica at the Tour de France?
Yeah, I don't really see the whole it's funny, the whole British versus Aussie thing, but to be honest, Sky's I think the best team in the world, and I don't see any point in leaving at the moment. Maybe in the future, go and ride for Greenpeace.
How good did it feel riding everyone off the wheel at Axtois Domain?
I mean, it's as good riding them off the wheel there as it is in training. It's always nice, isn't it?
Former world triathlon champion Miles Stewart wants to know when you'll go back to triathlon when you've finished mucking around on the bike.
If you tell Miles that, he'll come and coach me for sure. I do triathlon. I do an Ironman.
Could you have Froome in a fight?
Oh, for sure. And I have done.
When you're out training, do you wave to other cyclists?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's common courtesy, isn't it? And if you don't wave, that's just rude. You're taking it too seriously.
And are you the secret pro?
Am I the secret pro? I'm not.
Richie Porte, the Tasmanian, with a few light-hearted answers to some of your questions. The good thing is, you'll be pleased, he waves when he goes out training.
Absolutely does. Look, he's a good man, Richie, for a Tasmanian.
And we still haven't quite uncovered the secret pro.
Not yet.
We're working on it.
I don't know if there is one. I think it's all you.
He's
making
the secret pro, yeah. We're working on it.
Secret
Next up,
Hubbard.
You keep interrupting. Next up, we're going to Rachel Neylan. Scott, you caught up with her before the Cycling Australia Awards. And she's a woman who's gone from almost the top of the food chain. Silver medal at the World Championships in 2012. This year, struck down by injury. It's been a tough season, and she's looking for work.
Well, Rach, 12 months on from the silver medal at the World Championships, you commentated it this time. Tell us about that. Was that fun?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise actually to be asked. Obviously, I was really gutted and devastated not to be racing, but that's just the nature of sport, and everyone goes through good years and everyone goes through bad years and injury, and that's just part of being an elite athlete and a professional athlete, is being able to deal with that. And one of the ways that I chose to deal with that was to, hit it right in the face and go to the race and commentate it. And I was really happy at the reports I received. So it was a big challenge, but I threw myself in there. I've never done anything like that before. So yeah, I mean, anyone can do it, right?
Right, exactly. Well, we have a new vice president for the UCI, Tracy Gaudry. So the first time we've had a female so high up in the UCI, that has to be good for women's cycling.
Yeah, it's incredible. The news of Tracy's appointment as a vice president is just, I think it's been a little bit of a shock to a lot of people, but in the same regard, it's quite natural, and it's a natural progression for her career. I'm really lucky that Tracy's been actually a close friend and mentor of mine ever since I was a Amy Gillett scholarship holder in 2010. 2010 was a real launch pad for me to start riding in Europe, and I'm forever thankful for the Amy Gillett Foundation for that opportunity.
Well, there will be a fair amount of pressure on her shoulders, I guess, because there is a big push now to increase the coverage of women's cycling, and a lot of the people are actually saying that it's the race organisers' responsibility to put races on for you ladies. But I think it's more about the UCI, making sure that they build the sport so that the race organisers want to put them on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a two-way street. I think the UCI and the race organisers really need to work together. It's not solely the responsibility of the race organisers, but you know, as long as they have a good working relationship and everybody is committed to, you know, to really working together. And, you know, the word on the street is that there's going to be a UCI Women's Commission that will take really, you know, take the reins of women's cycling globally and take it to the next level. And that's really what's needed.
And what about you going into 2014? What changes are happening? You haven't had a great season this year off the back of the silver medal. So where are you heading for next year?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you know, it's pretty devastating to you know, have the injury run that I've had, and it's really unfortunate. But I've learnt a lot from that, and you know, the body has limits, and you have to really, you know, you have to respect your body and understand what it can and can't do. And I think that's just going to take me, you know, to another level and make me a smarter athlete. I've decided to start working through NSWIS, going back to my blue roots in New South Wales.
We won't hold that against you, that's all right.
Yeah, but the opportunity to work with Brad McGee came up, and yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that new change for next year, well, starting from now. And yeah, some exciting international opportunities that I'll be able to talk about more in the next few weeks. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to 2014.
Can't tell us now.
No.
Can't tell us now.
No.
So Rachel Neylan, tough task, isn't it? You go from silver to trying to get a contract for the next year. If you got a silver medal at the Road World Championships as a male, I'd estimate that would buy you at least 3 quiet years.
Oh, for sure. And if you look at if you actually do your research and look at the silver medals from the last 10, 15 years in the men's race, absolutely. Some very wealthy young men that represented their countries and finished second on the podium. But look, for Rach, she's still close to getting a contract. She won't want to be too outspoken about it all, but she's also doing a little bit of corporate work back here in Australia as well, which you know, a bit of a day rate for her.
I think she'll be with the Australian team next year. The national team.
Fortunately for a lot of these women, they have a lot to fall back on, right? I mean, of course, they want to be professionally cycling, but they also do have some good options back home. They have their careers underway and so forth. So it's not the end of the world for her, but I hope she gets back into cycling.
And she probably would see that as, but that's not what I want. I don't want a real job. I want to be a pro bike rider. Yeah, I completely understand that. Next up, we talk weight loss in the Healthy Living Tips, thanks to health.com.au, as Scott catches up with Alan McCubbin, who's the Vice President of Sports Dietitians Australia.
All cyclists want to lose some sort of weight, some a lot of weight, some just a little bit. You know, what are the things we should be doing to try and lose weight as a cyclist?
Yeah, I guess as a cyclist, losing weight is, in a lot of ways, it's no different to anyone else that's trying to lose weight. So obviously you need to be eating less calories than what you're expending during the day. But there's, I guess, a couple of extra things you need to consider as a cyclist or any athlete. And the first thing is obviously your training schedule. So one mistake I often see with athletes I work with is that they have this training schedule with a lot of high intensity exercise and they underfuel for that and they really suffer and their training suffers as a result. So they're trying to come up with this balance between, you know, having good training and intensity in their training, but at the same time reducing the calories to lose weight. So one of the things that we can do about that is look at the training schedule over the week and try to plan your nutrition specifically around your training schedule. So where you've got those high intensity sessions, you might need to fuel up a bit more for those. Whereas if you've got some of the rest days or your recovery rides, they're the days where you can strip back the calories a bit more and get the weight loss benefit without any impact on your performance.
If you're going into, say, a rest day or an easy day, do you really need to think about your diet the day before so you don't have to fuel so much, like the final meal of that day leading into an easy day? It doesn't have to be a big one, does it?
Exactly. So if you do a big session, say on a Wednesday morning, and then Thursday's a rest day or a recovery ride in the morning, then after that session on the Wednesday, you don't need to worry too much about, you know, that nutrition in the afternoon on the Wednesday into Wednesday night and into Thursday, because that's where you can save some calories.
There's always a new fad going around to lose weight. You know, what's the latest thing, and do they actually even work?
Yeah, probably the two trends at the moment, I guess, have been the paleo diet over the last couple of years, and then this whole low carb, high fat approach that's going around at the moment. Do they work? Well, they probably work for some people, some more than others. I guess anyone who's going to restrict, you know, large parts of what they eat is going to lose weight pretty quickly, just because they're cutting, you know, a third of their diet out or a third of the foods that they normally eat out of their diet. Whether that's sustainable long term, for some people they can do it and that's fine, for others not so much. And when you start to restrict carbohydrate, you do tend to lose a bit of your high intensity, so that top end performance. So it's fine for someone who's a recreational cyclist and maybe not racing, not worrying about sprinting ability and that sort of thing. But for someone who's at that top end, you definitely wouldn't recommend that kind of approach.
Now, if you want to be a top-end climber, you want to strip a couple of kilograms off, what would you recommend for that type of rider? And at the other end of the scale, if you want to shed 10 or 15 kilos like me these days, what would you recommend?
Well, it's a good question. And I think for the climbers in particular, if you've only got sort of 2 or 3 kilos to lose and you're already fairly lean, you need to be conscious of how low is too low. And there's a couple of ways you can go about trying to figure that out. You can do some measurements using something like a DEXA scan, another machine called a bod pod, which gives you a pretty good indication of your percentage body fat, or you can go and see someone who's qualified to do skin folds assessments to get an idea of that. Because we know for those guys, there usually becomes a point where they lose more weight, but they don't actually go any faster. Their power to weight doesn't get any better because they're starting to lose muscle and they're losing power. So while they're losing the weight, they're losing the power as well, and so the power to weight ratio doesn't shift, and they might climb as well or maybe slightly better, but on the flat, when it comes to time trialing or sprinting, their performance really starts to drop away. And I think Matt Lloyd's a good example of that. He talks about the year that he won the King of the Mountains at the Giro. He talked about going into that race deliberately with a bit more weight than what he'd done in the past, and he performed so much better because of it.
Well, Alan makes that sound a little bit more challenging than it might have otherwise been. That battle between losing weight and maintaining power.
Well, that's it. And, the last 2 to 3 kilograms, if you try too hard to lose that weight to climb better, then it may be detrimental to the rest of your riding. So you've got to be very careful that you're matching your weight loss with nutritional input as well, so that you keep that power.
And then there's your immune system. You don't eat enough, you get sick.
Yeah, and what I've learned with weight loss, above everything, it's a mental battle. It's not a physical battle. It's all the temptations, and you actually keep a diary, and you realize how bad you actually eat when you're trying to lose weight. It's, and keeping healthy too, right? Because you're motivated at that time. You're riding more, and your immune system gets worn down.
I think our immune systems are pretty healthy right now. We're okay, but you could be in danger.
I've actually dropped a couple of kilos lately through no effort whatsoever.
It's not that mustache.
No, it's not the mustache, I can assure you. Next up, we're going to not deal with my mustache anymore, or lack thereof. We're going to deal with what's on your mind. What's on your mind, and we haven't hijacked it this week. Scott hasn't hijacked it like he did last week. It's the Potato Man with your question about policing bunch etiquette. And this is one way you have tackled in the past on Cycling Tips.
Yeah, it's a tough one because it's actually behavioral change you're trying to implement, and that's not easy. I've seen guys like Olympic medalists like Rob Crow get up and try to tell people to ride sensibly and so forth if things are getting under control, and people just tell them to get lost and ride past them. So it's not as simple as telling people what to do or even pulling them out. It's even leading by example. But the thing that I do notice is the ultimate form of behavioral change is when people take it upon themselves socially, like groups take it upon themselves. And I have actually seen that in Melbourne where groups start forming, like the 5:45 bunch versus the 6 a.m. bunch, and they are very well behaved. And you can just go with them if you want a well-behaved bunch. But I think it's starting to happen.
As an Olympic gold medalist, do you feel a sense of responsibility to be well behaved, to set that example?
I do.
And to pull others up?
Yeah, I do. And
you feel it, but you don't live up to it.
No, I do. And look, and I'm riding in Bendigo, and we have an elite training bunch that we ride with. We've Darren Lapthorne, Jack Haig, Robbie Hucker, and these guys. But we mix with a lot of the other riders that are fairly new to the sport, and it's little comments. Don't be overbearing. And there's perhaps one group in Bendigo that I've chosen to say nothing, because that group was organised by somebody else. It's his ride, or their bunch. So anytime I've tried to suggest something, it hasn't really happened, so I just let them go with it. But the other groups that I ride with, will have a constant discussion about it. It might be at the coffee shop after the ride to say, hey, just be careful, whatever situation it might be, it was dangerous, etc. And I'll wave all the time. I'll wave to other bunches, which surprises you, I know, but I'll wave to anyone that wants to wave back to me.
And there's a fine line between giving instructional value versus actually coming across as somebody who's just a little bit power hungry and dictatorial. I remember when I started riding, I was a kid, so you're a young teenager, you're much more easily influenced, and I was really happy to hear what I needed to do to get better, to improve. It's simple stuff like pointing for holes, indicating if there was a parked car coming up to those behind you, all those little simple things. Is it more difficult though to have that conversation with somebody who takes up the sport at 45?
I think definitely. Things have changed hugely. I know, probably the same as you guys, when I started riding, I was very intimidated to show up and to ride, and I sat back and watched and learned, and I wasn't rolling at the front until I thought I knew everything. And it was very, very baby steps, right? And now you got like you say, you've got people who are successful in other sports and they just come right into cycling, which I think is fantastic. But there's a lot of etiquette, a lot of things that you just don't know, but they do have the fitness to match up with the front of the bunch.
You can have a 25-year-old with 10 years experience and a 45-year-old with 1 year's experience. And it's difficult for the 25-year-old to tell the 45-year-old what to do. It's a real challenge. I recommend reading, you're going to have to post this again, the post that Wade Wallace did on his site, Cycling Tips, which is this site, which you're watching on the bike lane. It's worth, get it up there again.
The lost art of the group ride, yeah, it's very good. It wasn't written by me, it was written by someone else, but I'll post that.
Is that why it was good?
Yeah, that's why it was good.
Yeah, okay. Next up, we're going to meet a guy out on the hot lap who's done almost all you can do as a middle distance runner, particularly in Australia. Craig Mottram is tackling the hot lap, and Scott McGrory's time, just a little bit nervous. Back out at the hot lap, one of the greats of Australian middle distance running, Craig Buster Mottram. Most important question, Craig. Where do you rate on the list of the all-time greats?
I think most importantly, it'll be where I rate on the list of the hot lap competitors, mate. After
You won't beat him.
No, look, I think...
He might.
He won't.
No.
Only if he gets off
If
the
he
bike
ran
and
it.
runs up through the
I've got more
bushes.
chance of running quicker, but I think top 5. We've got a great
John
history.
Landy,
Yeah, we do. We've
Herb
got a
Elliott,
great
Ron
history.
Clark.
Yeah, so we've got, obviously former Mayor of the Gold Coast, former Governor of Victoria, one of the biggest shareholders in Fortescue Mines, and then there's me.
Then there's
Then
you.
there's me, out here
Ready
on the
for the
hot
hot
lap,
lap.
ready to go, working 9 to 5, seeing what I can do, but I'm progressing into life after sport to a certain degree, so it's going really well.
Now, one thing we've seen consistent on the hot lap, Scott, is any elite athlete has always done a big warm-up.
Absolutely. It's quite intriguing. Even us former athletes, we've got to go out there and do our formal warm-up. Shane Kelly, of course, he disappeared for 45
Lost
minutes
him.
to do his. He went back to his old AIS warm-up.
Yeah.
We saw the same with Craig. So there are nerves coming into this one.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to go?
I stopped for a bathroom stop before, so I'm
Yeah.
lighter and ready to go.
You're ready to race.
I am.
Okay, we're going to give you the countdown. The all-important hot lap for Craig Buster Mottram. On 5,
4, 3,
2,
1.
go.
Go, Buster! Come on.
Not bad on the clip-in.
Calm. Very
Calm. Yeah, that's what you get when you've worn the green and gold and you've gone to World Championships.
Yeah.
But I'm a little nervous about the bottom corner because Buster's fallen over in a running race.
It's a tricky corner.
It's a tricky corner.
He's not
It's
a complete novice to cycling.
Yeah, I think that if it was 50 laps around here, he'd pull your pants down.
He would.
But one lap around here,
Around here, he might get arrested for doing that.
Yeah. The one thing about running, by comparison to cycling, is there's no barriers to entry. So you're actually competing against the whole world, whereas the economics prevents some countries really from being competitive in cycling. But this guy has competed against everyone.
And if you take a look at his bike, it's not as good of a bike as someone like, say, Shane Kelly or Scott McGrory.
And here he comes. This is actually a
this is
really
fast.
impressive time. Wade, he has got you under the pump. Buster is on his way through the line. Oh, that is impressive. He might be making a comeback. How'd
Yeah.
you find the bottom corner?
Technically challenging.
Yeah.
I've been known to fall over while running, so
Well, we mentioned that.
so the bike is challenging, but no good.
Yeah, okay. So,
Give me my time.
well, you've beaten all the women.
Thank you.
You'd be relieved about getting the
Well,
better of
We've got one coming up, Sam.
Black,
so
Black Caviar and the Honey Badger. You've got the better of them.
very good.
You got the better of Danny Frawley.
Okay.
You haven't quite got Scott McGrory.
Well, that's all right.
Close.
You're on par with Wade Wallace.
Okay.
Wade was a 124.8. You're 125.2.
He's almost recovered. We've only been back here for
Yeah.
a minute or so.
breathing.
I just struggle with the power out of the corner.
Yeah.
And then getting seated and getting on top of the gear.
Do you know what your VO2 max is?
91.
Impressive.
Okay. I'm going to go to the local bike shop. I'm going to get you a new bike. I'm going to get you a new kit. And you're going to race the National Road Series next year.
Did I take one? I took my
91.
pump off. I've still got my spare tyre and stuff
We're
on.
going to set a race.
That is impressive.
I'm one of the
Saved his
originals.
legs.
I'm an original weekend warrior on the bike.
Fantastic. Do you think you could... Do you dream about the bike?
Yeah, I'd love to ride
Over the
bikes
Tour de France.
competitively,
Yeah.
but I still have ambition on
On the
foot,
run.
so
Yeah, okay.
we'll see how we go.
Well, Craig Buster Mottram has done a 125 out in the hot lap. Come and see whether you can match a man with a VO2 of 91. Ridiculous. So how's that, Craig Mottram? When you're good, you're good. A minute 25.2 seconds. His first ride on the bike in a year, and he picked up the bike the night before from his grandparents' place. His VO2 max though, Scott McGrory, what was yours, 83?
Roundabouts.
And that got
On
you
a
an
good
Olympic
day.
Games gold medal.
Yep.
He was 91. He's on par with Cadel Evans.
Yeah, extraordinary athlete. And the thing I took from it, Obviously, he's fast. You know, he hadn't ridden. If he'd done a couple of weeks training, you know, it would have been a couple of seconds off that. Even the tight corner, if he'd practiced that, there's another second or so. So he would have been close to my time. He wouldn't have beaten it, but he would have been closer to it. But he just recovered so quickly.
Yes.
You know, just in his general chat, he was back. He could go again.
Everybody else does the U-turn and they're huffing and puffing. He did the U-turn, nothing.
Straight into it, yeah.
He's
With
brilliant.
hairy legs as well. It's just demoralising.
The leading rider on it with
Embarrassing.
hairy legs.
Yeah, okay. So Movember, as we wrap up, I am going to close the gap. I'm coming after you, McGrory and Wallace.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Well, remember, it's not just about growing a mow, it's about raising money. So I'll put a link to the bottom of this post and we'll show you how to join up and ask for donations.
I'm doing well because I've actually registered on your Cycling Tips umbrella. I think it's about close to $1,000 now, and I've got $10 that's been donated, which I donated to myself to get it going.
Okay.
Come on, people, help me out.
somewhere.
Pro bike riders, we know that we saw Kunda Court last year do a good job. I don't know if he's on board again this year. Couldn't play catch up like me, give them a head start. You can close the gap. And we know that Lee Howard is a part of it also, and we encourage all of you to get amongst it. Well, that's it for this week. As always, thanks to the team at Northside Wheelers. It was a fantastic venue to be able to host the show from. We've got a lot to come next week. Keep your feedback coming and don't forget to tell us what's on your mind and then we'll talk about it. And of course, keep waving.